to another edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast, where we feature our friend and sponsor of the show, Zach Abraham, who is the Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark Capital Management. And we are always really, really grateful to get your insight, Zach, on all things money and economy related. And last time we talked to you, man, it was a whole different world than it is right now. Now it's looking like World War III may be upon us. There's all this conflict that's been reignited in the Middle East. And so I feel like we should just revisit some of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, maybe mortgage interest rates, what might happen to them as a result of this, what people should think about and know about, and what they're asking you about when you get calls from people right now who are like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah, no, great question. So first of all, on the international conflict side of it, man, I mean, talk about a complex issue, right? And I don't, I always think it's important when we're talking about these things to really separate the moral aspects of it from the investing aspects of it. So what I would say right now is on the financial side of things, as long as the conflict remains between Hamas or Palestine, larger Palestine, and Israel, I really don't see too much of an impact. It kind of concerned us a little bit last week when some of these murmuring started, or over the weekend when the murmuring started, like, oh, this is going to make the price of oil go way up. When you look at Palestine and Israel, there's virtually no oil production. So if they're at war, it really has little impact. Now, where it gets different is if this conflict draws in Iran or anybody else that's an oil producer. One of the main ways to swing a big axe in that part of the world is to basically barricade the Straits of Hormuz, where the vast majority of the oil flows out of the Middle East. If another player that was a significant oil producer or a significant oil exporter, which so many of those countries are, if they were to get involved, you would probably see a very significant rise in the price of oil, which would obviously impact inflation. You'd probably see a dollar surge, which would be extraordinarily negative for stock markets. And so at this point right now, you're going to hear a lot of craziness and a lot of, oh, the sky is falling as it relates to finances. At this point right now, I don't really see anything that's going to change the calculus. Like I said, if people, if other players get involved, it's a different ballgame. On the more social side, if you wouldn't mind me addressing that for a second, it is really appalling to me and extraordinarily scary the amount of nonsense you hear and the naked anti-Semitism coming out of especially the left. It's mind-blowing to me.
Right.
And the moral equivalencies between the two, and there is a massive difference, right? And the difference,
oh my God,
is, I don't want to oversimplify it, but to me, it's this simple. If Palestinians laid down their arms, the conflict would be over. If Israelis laid down their arms, they'd be annihilated.
Right. Absolutely.
At the end of the day, right? Mm-hmm. There's the moral discussion. I hear people say, equating it to Ukraine and I'm sitting there going, whoa. Okay, Russia and Ukraine, that's like a family fight, right?
Right.
They speak the same language. They have the same culture. They were a part of the same country 35 years ago. Okay?
Yeah.
This is effectively a civil war. What you see happening in Israel is aspirational genocide, right?
Yeah.
It's not surprising hearing this coming out of the left, because the extreme left, especially, because I think as we all know, there has been an underbelly of anti-Semitism that nobody would discuss on the left for quite some time.
Absolutely.
And it's really showing its ugly face.
Yes,
but
it is.
It's also appalling at the same time. So
yeah,
you guys probably editorialize on that enough, so I don't want to go overboard, but it's just shocking. It's scary. It's sad. What a mess.
What do you say to people who immediately say, but what about all of the innocent Palestinians? What is your response? I'd be curious to know how you respond to those people, because there's a lot of them who are, they're doing the pro-free Palestine protests and rallies and all of that stuff.
Well, so first of all, I talk about it two different ways. When I say free Palestine, free them from what? And they go, well, a prison they've been locked into. And I go, Are you referring to the hundreds of thousands of Palestinians that live and thrive inside of the borders of Israel? Are those the ones we're talking about? Um, and why is it that they're both from that region, but Palestine has ownership of the land? Right? It's not like the Jews showed up on the Mayflower in 1650 and took over the land. Right? They've been fighting over this plot of land for 3,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how we sit there and treat them like this indigenous people that are being, murdered. So it's tragedy on both sides, and it's horrific. And one of the most tragic parts about it is it's a blood feud, essentially, right? Like, so a lot of these people on both sides, especially on the Palestinian side, they're willing to go kill and murder because people that they know, friends, family, have been murdered, right? It's horrifically unfortunate, and it's awful. And I'm not saying I don't feel sympathy for them, but I would sit there and ask these same people, what are you supposed to do? If you're Israel, what are you supposed to do? They go, give them the land back. Again, why do they have more claim to it than Israel? I just, to me, it's just a mess. And I think it's been going on for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And at some point, especially the academics and the elite left in this country decided that whoever is stronger is at fault in any given conflict, even if that's us. Right.
That's such a great way to put it. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And like I said, I just think it's really simple. Right. If you look at the platforms of both, the tragedy is absolutely on both sides, and both of those people got, both sets of people, God bless them, and pray it comes to an end. But in the charter of Hamas, they are dedicated to the eradication of Israel from the face of the earth. Israel has been, in my opinion, mostly in good faith, trying to negotiate for peace literally since the inception in 1949. So
it's all they want. It's
all
literally all they want.
Well, you'd think it'd be simple to understand it, but like it's what's really like baffling to me is like what you were saying, the rationalizations that people are going through in their brains to try to rationalize terrorism and barbarism and just the unthinkable. They're rationalizing it. Like that's what I can't believe that people that you think that are around you, you're just like, wow, you're trying to rationalize that. What the heck?
Yeah,
well, it's crazy.
The other big difference if I got that question the other day, and the other big difference to me is there is a difference between summarily beheading children, and children dying in collateral damage due to bombs being dropped.
Totally.
There is a massive difference. You can sit there and tell me dead kids are dead kids. As a father, I get what you're saying, but on a geopolitical basis, you could not be further off base, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
It's just madness. And if you guys have any other specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But as this feeds back economically to us, when a conflict like this is going on, I don't think it should change anything anybody's doing, but I think it should make them. This type of event is what I look at as kind of a volatility multiplier, right? It is just going to, and it has the potential to just enhance things, right? Enhance chaotic markets, enhance asset price moves. Like I said, by and large, at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be a game changer. But when you look at the issues that the world is dealing with, any level of increase in geopolitical conflict makes all of these issues worse, right?
Yeah.
It just does. When you're looking at inflation, when you're looking at shortage of energy and all these different things, war does not help any of those things. And the larger scale it goes, I think by and large, I think a lot of investors are looking at the wrong thing. You don't need a war in the Middle East to create havoc. It's coming. It's economically, it's coming. We are seeing increased slowdowns. You are seeing credit just evaporate. I mean, you can't get credit right now.
Wow.
Consumer credit is drying up. In an economy that is that reliant on it as we are, the idea that people don't think this is going to cause a recession is just mind blowing to me. But it kind of reminds me of Ben Bernanke saying in 2006, the issues in subprime are contained, right? 18 months later, Lehman Brothers failed. So it feel again, I don't think we're facing that type of issue. I don't think we're on the edge of another great recession, but I do think that we are going to be through some rocky times investing. And then that's kind of what I was saying about these conflicts, is that as these geopolitical tensions increase, the universe of possible outcomes is widening, right? And mostly to the downside. So again, is it going to have any direct impact from where we see right now? No, but the bets are being anteed.
Yeah, I couldn't see. I mean, how could you not think that we wouldn't be having rocky times financially? I mean, look at the past couple of years and look who's at the helm of things. So, I mean, it's like, that's why somebody who doesn't do finance, like I'm not a finance person, but you need somebody that's going to be at the helm of your ship financially to just help you guide you through the waters. Cause I mean, it's like you're saying, okay, whether there's going to be a recession or not, of course things are going to suck over the next couple of years. I mean, look who we've got in charge. Of course, well, I mean, you've got to be getting so many calls from people. Just, I can't imagine what the past just 2 years have been like for you.
Well, they've been very good for business.
Right.
Right. But not for the right reasons. I think
exactly
people are waking up to it. The other thing that this highlights, you guys, is there is no free lunch, right? Contrary to what a lot of people would try to convince us of. And what I mean by that is you cannot keep interest rates at zero for 15 years. Mm-hmm. You cannot have the Federal Reserve balance sheet go from 880 billion to 7.5 trillion and not expect to pay a price at some point. Yeah. And I think one of the most dangerous things out there is because we have, with every road bump that we have hit for the last 15 years, we've filled it with the same asphalt, and that's just printed money, right? Well, when can you not do that anymore? When the printed money becomes the problem and inflation sets in. So this has been a problem 15 years in the making. And I think because we filled in every pothole with money, the investing public, in my opinion, has become risk insensitive, right? Just because everything's worked out over the last 15
right.
years. That scare was a buying opportunity.
It's like a false sense of security.
Right.
But what's different about now? What's different about now are interest rates, right? It's a completely different ballgame when you go from 0% and the Fed buying up every bond in sight to now jacking rates historically high and selling bonds. Here's the other thing. Keep an eye out. You're going to hear if rates stay here for any period of time, and I mean like again, 15 to 30 days, you're going to hear about more banks in trouble. Okay. And the reason why is that the vast majority of collateral that banks own are U.S. government bonds. Well, the 30-year U.S. government treasury is down 60% since January 1 of last year.
Wow.
Okay, so if you bought a 30-year treasury 20 months ago, okay, and you go to sell it today, you're down 60%, right? You're down 55% in a 10-year treasury. Okay, well, that's what all these banks own, right? Yeah. So their capital has gotten cut in half. At the same time, the economy is slowing, defaults are going up. The banks are getting pressed literally on every side right now. So again, is it going to create another 0809? No, because we know what the answer will be. They're just going to print the money, right?
Yeah.
Is it going to create some serious volatility? Yeah, we think so.
Yeah.
Well, you were super helpful to us when we each had our individual consultations with you. And we know that you can do the same for others who out there who might be listening and worried about how to protect their savings. So what is the best way for people to find out more about you and what Bulwark Capital Management can do for them?
Yeah, well, so we're pretty easy to find. We host a radio show and do a podcast too. Our radio show airs once a week on Fridays. On Saturdays. But we've started doing a daily broadcast as well called the Daily Dots. It's 12 to 15 minutes long. What we had a lot of people asking for this. And what we wanted to do is somebody's on their way home from work and wants to get a summary of what's gone on in the economy and finance that day. And they don't want to listen to blowhards and commercials and all that. We just summarize the day's entire action, including any pertinent economic news, in a 12 to 15 minute segment called the Daily Dots. If you subscribe to our podcast, Know Your Risk Radio, the Daily Dots will get delivered to you automatically. There's no paywall or anything like that. Or you can go to our website, bulwarkcapitalmanagement.com. Follow me on Twitter at KYR Radio. We're all over the place. Just Google Bulwark Capital Management and we'll pop up.
Love it.
Awesome. Thank you,
Fantastic.
Zach.
Thanks,
All
Zach.
right. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for having
We'll
me.
see you next time.
All right. Sounds good.